we all have an understanding of what we think would happen if we were, I don't know, a spec ops unit and just planted in the jungle. And what would happen if those soldiers, I don't know, happened to go against dinosaurs? Well, let me tell you, it's not what you think. Or if you think it'd go terribly wrong, then it is exactly what you think. Today, I'm doing an in-depth discussion into the amazing book by Ethan Pettis called Primitive War. Hey guys, as always, this is your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And of course, like I said in that little intro there, we are covering Primitive War, the book that really, well, soon to be comic actually, this is a book that covers dinosaurs in the Vietnam War as a Spec Ops unit called Vulture Squad goes in and tries to shut down a collider that may or may not have been built by the Soviets that released a whole prehistoric ecosystem into our world. And the hell, and very much hell, that transpires after that. Today, though, we're going to be doing an in-depth discussion, and so there's some spoilers here, some not spoilers. I'm not going to give too much away on characters, specifically on who they are, but just know, I want you guys to go read this book. You can pick it up on Amazon now. I believe you can get it e-Kindle as well. This book is worth the price of admission. So, like I said, spoilers abound, but let's dive right into it. The first up we have is story that we're going to talk about Primitive War. Now, whenever there's a good story, I should say. Not everything, but yeah, whenever there's a good story, there's always a moral to it. And the moral and the message of Primitive War, through all the chaos, the blood, the guts, the dinosaurs, the warfare, the realism, is escapism. Now, both sides are really, human and Saurian, are really guilty of escapism in all different ways. Using war to escape problems, mental health that we'll talk about with the human characters here in just a minute. You know, dinosaurs migrating out of Vietnam, that whole shebang. It's all about escapism and how you need to face your problems. And in a sense that the world is bigger than you think. And there's so much to it. There's so much to the story. There's so much to the characters. Hell, even the dinosaurs themselves, but we're getting into it. There is, like I said just a second ago, realism to the storyline. The sense of realism is huge in this book. With dinosaurs looking the way they're supposed to, which we'll get into the dinosaurs here in a separate subject in a minute, and realistic in the nature that they are in. Realistic in the government on what they would do if dinosaurs appeared in the Vietnam War. You know, it's not pretty. Would there be cover-ups? Yes. Would they tell the soldiers what they're going into? No. Would they really find out that they're really not in touch with nature? Hell to the yes. And that's one of the things about Primitive War storyline as well. To show humankind is not in touch with nature, which, as a guy who's worked 4 years at a zoo, an animal hospital now, and a reptile sanctuary, hate to break it to you, most of mankind is not in touch with nature and considers it something that can be ignored, I guess. Man, it will bite you back hard, and in the case of Primitive War, tear you apart hard. And it's not just carnivores, though, that are in there. There's herbivores as well, too. Gotta make that clear. Also, it shows that war is almost pointless in a sense because, in the end, we all lose in war. Whether or not it's the effect it has on civilians, soldiers, in the end, who really wins? And in this one, it's kind of the dinosaurs, but because mankind's not really prepped for that sort of thing, despite we may think, even in the 60s, 70s in Vietnam, not really prepped for that sort of shit. Sorry. Also, kind of before we get into the subject of the dinosaurs themselves, though, the storyline is brutal in a sense here, and I should give that storyline note a little bit of a highlight is, the storyline is very brutal in the sense of how people are attacked by each other, and, you know, the warfare and such like that, very realistic with it, and as well as what the animals would do, right? So I'm going to say prehistoric animals, because it's not just dinosaurs, if they attack the human, like how it's very, very descriptive in people getting eaten or attacked and mangled, mauled, all sorts of shit like that, or gunfire that's happening, and it's really good that way. It's very realistic. You feel like you're almost there, and that's the beautiful part about Primitive War. You feel like you're there, you feel like you are these characters. Sometimes the dinosaurs, not really the dinosaurs, but you feel like you're in this world as much as you would not want to fucking be. Now that we are talking about the dinosaurs, before we get to the humans, because the humans is a whole bucket of worms, it's a mental mess. Dinosaurs, we get to see highlighted of new different creatures like the Caprosuchus, the Quetzalcoatlus that you don't often see. Caprosuchus being a crocodilian with long legs, pretty big as hell too. Imagine dog legs on a crocodile. That's what you got. And the Quetzalcoatlus is the largest living thing that's ever flown, with a barbed tongue. Yeah, One beautiful part, though, is Primitive War shows how dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures are animals. But to us, they're monsters. And like a lot of nature is to us. It just seems like they're monsters when really they're behaving as they had back in the day when they were alive everywhere, back when prehistoric times. But they just seem like monsters to us in the hunting, and the brutal killing, the attacks, the defense of a triceratops, and like, oh my god, it's supposed to be peaceful. Like, no, they're animals. They seem brutal, but they're just being themselves, and we're not used to seeing nature on that level of scale. And it's realistic in that sense with the dinosaurs. All on to is the animal's behavior. So the animal's behavior, like you see an example of a Rex climbing slowly down a hill because he chasing after humans, which they were in the nest. So hey, good reason to go after them. He doesn't run after them down a hill with rocks, and then you fall, break a leg, and die, which they even say he would. He goes down slowly and watches them because he's defending his nest. He's like, hey, get the hell out of here. And of course, too, with the raptor and the Rexes, they're feathered. Utah raptors and such like that, and different colorations with them than we usually see, which we'll get to in a second. We have feathered T-Rexes, feathered raptors of all different sorts, which is scientifically accurate to their size as well. They're a little bit beefier, or they're taller than they're supposed to be, or small, or velociraptor, all that sort of jazz like that. And of course, different colors with green and black feathers, or hell, biggest one with this, blue and red triceratops, like a red-headed triceratops, which if you guys ever look up the fan art, which there's plenty of for this, oh lord, it's cool. And it's also, in the sense, it's realistic with the dinosaurs out-competing local animals as it would. Lions, tigers, bears, oh my, elephants, regular crocodilians, all out-competed by this shit. They'll either go extinct in the area because they've been hunted down to extinction in the area, or out-competed against the herbivores and such. So it doesn't really work out for them, and so dinosaurs and the prehistoric creatures would replace a lot of the ecosystems wherever they are at. Slowly, and it'll take a couple months, but eventually they will do it. Now, on to the fun one that's going to make you feel bad about yourself, make you feel a little bit good. Humans! The human characters in this. We follow Vulture Squad, of course, though. The human Spec Ops team sent in to go destroy the collider and such, but we also follow Russian soldiers as well, and the scientists and generals and all a bunch of shit like that. So all the fun little times. Primitive War is very realistic with soldiers and talk and lingo, vehicles, equipment, all the jazz like that. You feel like you're really there in the timeline. As someone who's done stuff with the military for a while, you really, really do. These guys straight out of it. They're like straight out of realism on this. But the sad part is with the humans, a lot of messages with them being shown. PTSD, hearing and seeing flashbacks to maybe things you've done or things that happened to you and such. As someone who has PTSD and anxiety, let me tell you, and I'm open about it, very much am, it sucks. And to be able to conquer it takes a long time, but you have to be willing to put forth it. And these guys are not. They're like, I can just use war and escape, or we get to our next thing of addiction. We see how an addiction is formed, like, it never helps anybody, like with the alcohol with a certain character. It doesn't help your friends and family around you, your brothers, sisters. It does not help. Or, and actually not an or, it will get you in danger, most likely kill you in the end. If the alcohol poisoning doesn't, if you replace your problems with liquor, you're just running from them and you're not facing them. Propaganda and what propaganda does to the human mind. When you start believing in the hardcore propaganda, we see it with the Soviets and the Americans, like, all Soviets are bad, meet a nice Soviet. All Americans are bad, actually meet a couple nice Americans, and realize, hey, we were lied to about what was going on here. And the propaganda was, it's just the Americans invading, when there's actually dinosaurs everywhere. Along those lines, and how much it can brainwash one, like, I'm serving a greater cause, and we're always good, and whatever order comes down, we will follow, because it's always 100% right. And meanwhile, people who realists in here who have been through the shit are like, yeah, good luck, kid. Have fun with that idea. So the effect of propaganda on the mind, and how it can really lead to troubled situations, and when the smack in the face comes, when you're smacked out of it, it hits hard, it hits home, and man, you're never ready for that. Overall, this mental health is something that these characters fight with a lot. They're all trying to escape through their own different things, of addiction, through war, through killing, through crazy shenanigans, jokes, escapism. Like, main character himself wears a mask, Ryan. He wears a mask, like a baklava mask. Don't find out why till the end. I'm not going to spoil why. But he wears it, and he's escaping from his past. Everybody's escaping from their past and their future actions in this book through dinosaurs and such. So while it's an amazing paleo book, and while it's an amazing take on mental health, escapism, and war in general, which combines all the three of like, holy shit, this is really good, and expert at writing by Ethan that makes you put right then and there, Primitive War is a book you have to read. Oh, folks, that is my in-depth, though, on Primitive War. And if I maybe missed something on here, or maybe you think, oh, what about this? What about that? Comment down below. Let me know if I missed anything, because, hey, we all need to know, and this book is amazing, and so's the series as well. I'm on the second book right now. Just let it be known right about now. So thanks everyone for tuning into this episode. Make sure you leave a like, and if you happen to, subscribe for more toy reviews, more dinosaur stuff, video games, podcasts, comics along those comic stuff, whatever it may be. Subscribe for more, folks.